Yes, guys, and welcome to the Sunderland vs Bournemouth match preview. Now, I know I'm a little bit early for this one. I'm actually working a lot over the next few days, including match day as well. So the review of this game won't come until Sunday at some point as well. But I know that the pre-match presser for this game won't be until either tomorrow or the day after, probably Friday actually. So there might be some kind of injury news that I'm unaware of as I'm recording this. So apologies if I just started spouting out a load of misinformation or talking about players that aren't going to play, because as of right now, I don't know. but I'm going to go into this preview with the mindset of everyone is as they were from after the Fulham game. Hopefully there isn't any knocks or anything like that. Fingers crossed. But before we do get into it, guys, if you can do me a massive favour, hit the like button for me. It'd be massively, massively appreciated. And subscribe if you are new. There are still so many of you guys that are watching. I hope you are enjoying and you're not yet subscribed. It'd mean the world if you at least considered it. We're trying to hit 20,000 by the end of the season. It's a huge ask, but if I keep pushing, if I keep asking, you might listen. And I do appreciate the support on the channel anyway. But this weekend, we do take on Bournemouth. We welcome Bournemouth to the Stadium Light, who had a phenomenal start to the season. Bournemouth, like many other clubs in the Premier League, I have a huge amount of respect for. More so teams like Bournemouth, because of course, a few years back, they come up from the Championship and they did everything the right way. Not just throwing money at it willy-nilly. Of course, they spent some money, but they had the sort of model that we have kind of adopted over recent years, and they were kind of like almost like the role model that we want to go for, or they are our role model in terms of the way in which they go about the market. You know, they'll bring in players, improve them, coach them correctly, and then when that price tag is of a certain ilk, and other teams, bigger teams, with no disrespect to Bournemouth, do come in with big money offers, they accept it, and then they just put all the money back into the team, and it just starts to gradually improve that way. And that's what I really, really appreciate, the way that Bournemouth go about their business, because, you know, on paper they're not an absolutely gigantor of a club, but they still compete with the sort of top 8. Do you know what I mean? And this season they had an absolutely outstanding start. They've tailed off a little bit in recent weeks, or recent match days, but I will get to that. But other than that opening game of the season where they got beat by Liverpool by 4-2, a game in which I thought Bournemouth were massively hard done by. I thought Bournemouth looked absolutely outstanding. After that game, they went sort of, I think it was 8 games unbeaten, picking up plenty of impressive wins against like Brighton, I think Spurs, who weren't doing so well at the time, and draws here and there, but they just had this ability to churn out points even if they weren't playing to the absolute best of their ability. So they were fantastic, and they were sort of in the top 3-4 for the majority of the season, albeit it's still very early doors. But the last 3 games, they have petered off a little bit, only getting 1 point from the last 3. A heavy defeat against Villa, against City as well, which of course is nothing to be ashamed of. City away from home, it's a free hit for most teams, but they got beat by 3-1, I think it was. And last time out they drew 2-2. So they're away from the last couple of away games. They have been battered. Granted, very good opposition, but they have picked up defeat. So you're hoping that is going to be the theme going into this weekend. Now, of course, Bournemouth, they do have loads and loads of threats, and I can't go into this video or into this preview without mentioning, of course, Semenyo. Now, Semenyo, I do believe he picked up a knock. He has a sprain, so that's why he was out. Last time out, Bournemouth's game against West Ham, they drew 2-2. He was out for that game, and he's still a major doubt for this one. I'm not too sure if there's any more news that's come out regarding that, but as I'm recording this, he's still a major doubt, which, you know, I wish injuries upon any player, but if it's someone like Semenyo, I hope it is more than a doubt, and he's not going to be featuring this weekend, because Semenyo, he, of course, for those of you who don't know, he did have a brief spell at Sunderland when we was in League One. Now, if you told me that lad, who I seen play that bit part role in League One, if you told me that lad was going to go on to achieve the things he has done in this current day, I would have said you were absolutely off your head, because I don't think he was appalling or anything, but in League One, I think he only made 7 appearances, and I think the majority, if not all of them, come off the bench. Had a little bit of pace here and there, but he was really weak, pushed off the ball, didn't look great on the ball either. And I didn't really think anything of it. I just thought he's going to be a bit of a nothing player maybe. But how wrong was I? Because that lad has gone from strength to strength. Even last season he was great. This season he started phenomenally, and he's been linked with the likes of Liverpool's. He's got a 70 million release clause or something. I think there's teams all over the place that are looking at him, and rightly so, because he's filled out with his strength, his direct running, his pace, his bravery to go at defenders and go for goal and score goals, assist. he looks the absolute, almost a finished article for the minute. And he's still a young lad to grow, so it's frightening how things can change. And he's the epitome, should I say, of hard work. Can really make things happen for you. You know, he has, of course, gone to the drawing board. He had a difficult spell with us in League One. You know, we come down from the Premier League on loan to us. And it must have took a knock coming to Sunderland in League One, and he looked really, really poor, or fairly poor to a degree. And of course we sent him back, and now that must have knocked his confidence somewhat. So he's clearly the kind of lad who has the absolutely right mindset to, you know, put in the hard work, put in the hard yards, and become an outstanding football player. But like I said, for this weekend, he is a major doubt. Hopefully that remains the case. As I say, it's not to say that he's the only sort of threat that they do have. They have loads of players. Evan Nilsson, I'm a fan of him. Up top, bit of a brute. He's almost a typical old school sort of number 9, but with that level of skill and ability that can go with it if he is playing to the best of his ability on his day. Like, you've got Scott in there as well, a very impressive young talent as well across their back. Solid. They got Petrovic in goal, who Sunderland will heavily linked with in the summer. So it isn't going to be an easy game, despite their recent, maybe uninspiring form, should I say, their recent dip. Now, let's get on to Sunderland. So a lot of people, including myself really, were having a look at this 5 at the back system. Now, I think after that game against Fulham, what worried me more than anything was just how toothless we looked. We didn't create anywhere near enough chances, which comes part and parcel with this 5 at the back system. Now, I think that if we did manage to cling on to the draw, get a 0-0, get a point, away from against Fulham, by the way, who had a phenomenal, who did and do have a phenomenal home record so far this season. If we managed to just scrape a point, I don't think anyone would have bat an eyelid about the 5 at the back, personally, or at least nowhere near to the degree that's getting shot at now. Because we would have just said, right, it wasn't great going forward, but we managed to get a point at a place where not many people or not many teams are picking up points at the moment. But because we did lose, and going forward, we looked pretty useless, let's be totally honest. Now everyone's going at that system, which I agree and disagree, very 50-50 on, because I think for the large part, we defended fantastically, for the majority. Of course, there was shaky moments here and there, but that was because going forward, we were so poor, so it really puts a spotlight on the little areas at the back as well. For this game, I want 4 at the back. You know, I think going forward against certain teams, yes, the 5 at the back system will work. Of course, I think because we do play that 5 at the back, like I said, there is a spotlight on it. And 9 times out of 10, that 5 at the back is outstanding, and it makes it so difficult. But if you've got nothing going forward, then it's going to make things doubly difficult. So I think for this one, you know, we've just been beat away from home, back at the Stadium of Light, home turf, home soil. We have this unbeaten record still at the Stadium of Light. Let's get at them. Let's really go for them with the 4 at the back, and then adding more bodies in the middle, because that's where we really looked so light against Fulham. You know, all it took was beating our press, and then it was just all that Fulham side up against that 5 at the back, and Jack is stood in front of him. Everyone was just beaten. So I feel like we need to go back to that 4 at the back, particularly in this game, where I think we need to go toe-to-toe and be at our best. Will he do that? I don't know. I think now, because we've been beaten with that 5 at the back system, I think it's definitely not cause for concern as such, but definitely food for thought for Regis. So in terms of who I would go with, of course, you have Roofs in goal. Across that back 4, now you might see it being harsh on Hume or Hairtrowder, but Alderete, if he's okay, that's why I put him here, because I'm a huge fan of his. If he's okay now, I just think he is one of our best centre-backs, if not our best centre-back. So if he's fully fit, I think we go for Ronaldo at left back. We have Mukiele at right back, Alderete and Ballard in the middle. That back 4 is good enough for me. Now, the midfield. I think we need that trio in midfield of Xhaka, Siddiqui and Lafay. Lafay's natural position is in the centre of midfield, or even as a number 10. But he has that tenacity, he has that defensive willpower as well to be a nuisance in the midfield. It isn't just the lovely touches and the playmaking ability and his technical ability that Lafay can bring. We know how good he is defensively, and I think that's why he has been sticking with Lafay on the left-hand side to do the tracking back. And I'm going to get onto that in a minute. So I would have Lafay in there because then it isn't just a bunch of tacklers and hard hitters in the midfield. It has that creativity. It adds that little bit of flair that we could potentially get out of Lafay in the middle of the park. So that trio for me of Xhaka, Siddiqui and Lafay, I think that would be fantastic against this Bournemouth side. Now, on the left-hand side of midfield, I'm screaming for it. I have been for ages, as have so many other fans. Talby, stick him on the left. You know, there was a moment on that right-hand side, which I don't even think I mentioned in the review, against Fulham. And it just shows when he's on that kind of drifting towards that right-hand side, he just looks so uncomfortable on the ball, which, again, it's still baffling because that is where he's been playing most of his football for his career. But in the brief stints and spells we've seen him on the left, he's scored a goal or an assist, or he's looked absolutely a different beast. And he just looks so threatening cutting in from left to right. So I'd have Talby there. But what was I going to say about this Fulham chance towards the back end of the game? We managed to break forward. Talby has it kind of just outside the box on the right-hand side. All the Fulham backline had shifted over to the right. Now over to the left was Lafay. He would have been one-on-one with the keeper to pass the ball. Talby kind of looks up and he kind of just looks so awkward and wanted to shift it. But instead of just giving it to Lafay, who would have been one-on-one with the keeper, loads of space, all the time in the world, he's kind of tried to shuffle off to the right and we've lost the ball. And it was just that moment, just that quick thinking that he just looked so uncomfortable on that right side, which again, it's baffling, but still, the proof is in the pudding from what we've seen so far. He needs to be on the left-hand side. And to be fair to Talby, on the right-hand side, when we have seen in the first few games when we were starting on the right, his defensive capabilities, yes, he's not a defender, but his defensive work rate is fantastic. So we don't have the excuse of someone like an Adingra, who maybe isn't as good with his defensive duties in terms of actually his work rate getting back. Talby does do that very, very well, and he did that in the first few games, tracking back, making it hard, standing his man up, and he does do that very well. So I think on the left-hand side, to have Talby, to have Ronaldo getting them at the same time at the Stadium of Light, I think it's a no-brainer at the minute. It's the right-hand side that I don't really know what to do with. I think we'd only seen Adingra like once or twice for like 5-minute spells on the right, and he still looks very direct, very pacey, very skillful, but he's sticking with Traore at the minute, which I do get, because even in these games that we're playing really poor, as much as I probably would prefer to see Adingra on, because I think he's quicker than Traore and more direct, Traore is the only player out of all of them that are actually creating chances. Even if it's something of nothing, cutting in from right to left, putting a ball across the box, or going for goal himself, he's the only one creating anything. You know, it's a weird one, because I look at Traore sometimes and I think, there's nothing in it, but then he makes 3 or 4 chances on his own. So I'd understand if he went for Traore there, but I would like to see Adingra back in the fold. But on the flip side, I think that Regis likes to see, and he prefers to see Adingra on the left. But I just think with Talby as good as I think he is coming off the left, I would like to see Talby on the left and Adingra on the right. You know, but maybe if Traore was there, I wouldn't be totally opposed. Now up top, this is where things are going to get difficult, because for me, Isidore, he looked a bit off it. Granted, he was highly isolated, but there were 2 or 3 times in that game, maybe because he was frustrated, but it was very early doors where, I mentioned it in the review of the Fulham game, where we would try and put balls over the top. And yes, a couple of them, they were too long, he was never going to get to him. But there were also a couple where I think he could have got him, but he kind of gave up on him really early. Like, he was already frustrated from the kickoff. Do you know what I mean? I'd understand if it was like 80 minutes in and we're pumping balls over the top and he just thought, oh, I'm never going to get that. I get it. But there were a couple of times where I think Lafay did a first touch sort of dink ball over the top to split the defence. And you can see, of course, it's skinning off the surface, but he still runs for it. And I think, okay, if he keeps going, he's going to keep that in. But he just give up. And it happened a couple of times, and I just thought, yeah, he might be frustrated with how things are going at the moment, but I don't know. I've never seen that with Isidore, but I don't want to make a mountain out of a molehill, but that's just what I thought a couple of times. So maybe to change it up. And I'm trying to think across the strikers that we do have, of course, with Brobbey as well, Mayenda, even Mayenda on the right-hand side to start with. That could be something. He's direct, he's quick. Would I go with Isidore? Isidore at home, I'd probably be more comfortable seeing it, despite what I've just said about Isidore, even though I do love him to pieces, of course. I love Wilson. Brobbey, maybe someone, if we are going to be under the cosh with the 4 at the back a little bit, and we're not as solid at the back, maybe with the 4, someone to stick the ball to. Isidore's not scored in the last handful of games. I wouldn't mind seeing Brobbey there. I probably would. I'd like to see Brobbey start at the Stadium of Light. last time he started, well, not started, last time he come on at the Stadium Light, he has that momentum from the Arsenal game, get the crowd right behind him. He's got the pace on either side if Talaby and Adingra start, or Traore, whoever, to try and get those balls in, and also when we do have the set pieces, be it free kick, corners, throw-ins, whatever, to have Brobby in there, Alderete, Ballard pushing forward for it, Mukiele. That it adds another dimension to it, because he is such a big brick shithouse. It's another big presence for the Bournemouth backline to deal with. So yeah, I'd go for Brobby. I would. I'd probably give him a go. But I'm rambling on the potential starting 11, but I think that's just kind of where my mind's at them. But of course, down below, let me know what you think, or what team would you go with. I'm just trying to explore every avenue and then ramble for an extremely long time. But yeah, in terms of my predictions for this one, it's so difficult because, yes, they picked up 1 point in the last 3. They've lost the last couple of away games. I think at the stage of my life, and I think after that defeat, we haven't picked up many defeats this season, that will have hurt them against Fulham, because we were really off it. We were really poor. Fulham were better than us, of course. That would have hurt them. So they're going to want to get home. They're going to want to try and turn this around as quick as humanly possible at the ground where we are unbeaten at the moment. We need to just go at them. No fear. Absolutely go at them. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Sunderland win. I'm going to go for a Xhaka goal. I'm also going to go for a Dan Ballard goal. I don't know whether it's going to be like one of those last minute ones, which my heart can't take them anymore, as amazing as they are. But I'm going to go for a Xhaka and Ballard. Maybe a free kick or something from Xhaka, and then, a corner from a header for Ballard, something like that. But I'm going to go for a 2-1 Sunderland win. And of course, let me know down below what you think the score is going to be. I am going to leave it there, guys. As I say, I apologise. It's a little bit early because the pre-match press hasn't been out yet. So maybe all the players I've discussed are all injured. Maybe, I don't know. Hopefully not. But yeah, so let me know down below what lineup you go with and your score prediction as well. If you've enjoyed, hit the like button for me. Subscribe if you're new. But for now, highway the lads. Keep the faith.